The first page of my childhood memories begins in a damp, cramped single-room flat. That place, where a family of 4 lived huddled together, was not a sanctuary, but a time bomb that could detonate at any moment. My father poured out the heavy burdens of his life through violence, the most cowardly method possible, and growing up in that environment, I absorbed the poison of negativity with my entire body. It was no different outside the house. Even in the small society of school, violence relentlessly followed me. Every day felt like hell, and it was miserable. But the most horrifying part was that I was passing that very spark of violence and negativity down to my younger sibling. Under the pretext of paying back what I endured, I poured the exact wounds I received onto the weakest being. I was a useless human being who contributed nothing to the world, only causing harm, perhaps because I grew up in such an environment. The helplessness inside me always bordered on the limit. The lethargy rising from the depths of my chest ate away at all will to live. I could not find answers to why I should live or what I could achieve. Not wanting to reveal my thoroughly broken inner self, I always put on a facade of being motivated on the outside. I shouted that I could do it, and that it was nothing, but that was merely an illusion created by flimsy pride. I collapsed helplessly at even the slightest stumbling block. And whenever things became a bit difficult, I sought only to escape and settle into the situation. A coward without even the courage to attempt a change that was my true self. In those days, I always had a habitual saying, because life was so grueling and the end was nowhere in sight. There was a phrase I would repeat to myself. I thought this was the basement, but there was a deeper basement underneath. Every time I thought I had gone down, as far as I could go, the ground beneath my feet would give way, and I felt the sensation of plunging into an even deeper darkness. In the terror of falling into a bottomless abyss, I always spent my nights filled with despair, merely gauging where the bottom was. I spent every night in despair because I did not know when this weight of suffering would stop, or how far I had to break before this hell would end. Yet, after spending a long time in that darkness, I began to change ever so slightly. It wasn't because of some grand turning point. It was a suffocating sense of crisis that if I kept living this way, it would lead to nothing but ruin, combined with a faint instinct that I didn't want to end my life like this that moved me. I decided to tilt my perspective on the world just a fraction, a truly microscopic amount. I began the practice of changing things I had always thought were impossible into thoughts that maybe, just maybe, they could happen. Every morning when I opened my eyes, I had to fight the negative voice inside me. It was a process of shattering a thick shell that had hardened over a lifetime. So it was by no means easy. Once I shifted my perspective, my thoughts on that wretched habit of speech that had tormented me for so long also began to change little by little. The confession of despair that I thought this was the basement, but there was a deeper one underneath now approaches me with a new meaning. It was the realization that no matter where that bottom is, you must touch it completely to finally kick off and rise. When you're drifting in midair, falling endlessly, you can grab onto nothing and move nowhere. But if that miserable bottom is firmly stepped upon instead, that place will become a defensive line, preventing you from sinking any further, and the most dependable launching pad when leaping toward the top. The deeper and firmer the bottom, the more powerful the rebounding force will be when I kick off and stand up. Thanks to this realization, change came slowly but surely, as the unfamiliar emotion of positivity began to permeate my life. The attitude with which I treated the world and the look in my eyes, as I viewed myself softened slightly. A sense of achievement emerged from knowing I could accomplish something with my own hands. And I, who used to be busy running away, began to muster the courage to face problems head-on. Discovering a better version of myself today compared to yesterday, though imperfect, was quite a fresh sensation. It felt as though a pinhole-sized beam of light was entering a room that had been completely filled with darkness. Grasping that tiny strand of light, I moved forward step by step. However, habits ingrained over long years tend to consume me with terrifying speed. The moment I think things have become somewhat bearable, my past negative self invariably rears its head. It happened recently as well. Every time stories of others' brilliant success reached my ears, tales of making a fortune in stocks or hitting the jackpot in crypto, and earning billions of when the deep swamp inside me churned once more. Before I could congratulate them on their success, a defeatist sigh would escape from deep within my chest. I guess I'm just not meant to make it. Or what's the point of living diligently? That wretched habit of comparing myself to others and eating away at my own soul comes out like an instinct. In that fleeting moment of being dragged down into the hellish lethargy of the past, I swallow the sigh that has reached the tip of my throat and barely managed to change my mind. If it had been before, I would have been buried in that despair and sat slumped for days, but now I know that if I collapse here, I can never return. The saying of the elders, words become seeds, is by no means an empty phrase. The negative language and thoughts I spit out become the very soil of my future. The moment I say it won't work, it truly becomes a life that doesn't work. And the moment I cry out that I am ruined, my life will walk straight into a confirmed destruction. That is why I have desperately chosen to opt for positive thoughts. This does not mean I will harbor a baseless optimism. It is the most desperate survival strategy to protect my life. The success of others belongs to them, and the path I must walk belongs entirely to me. There's no need to feel anxious while matching my stride to the pace of others. Just as the numerous moments of pain and negativity I have endured failed to break me, the current shaking is also merely a passing wind. I will change my language, change my thoughts, and ultimately change the direction of my destiny. Positivity is not something you are born with. It is like a muscle that must be trained fiercely every single day. Every time negative thoughts habitually visit, I must drop the anchor of positivity with a force greater than theirs. I am no longer the helpless child trapped in that past, single-room flat, nor am I a useless being who inflicts pain on others within the shackles of violence. Although my starting line was behind others, and the path I walk is still full of stones, I will move forward step by step without stopping, to ensure that every word leaving my mouth becomes a powerful seed that lifts my life up. I intend to live today thoroughly believing in the power of positivity,